This is Football Night in America, served by Applebee's.
Welcome inside the studio. Maria Taylor alongside Tony Dungy and Mike Florio. And Super Wildcard Weekend did not disappoint, unless, of course, you're a Dallas fan. In which case, you might be a little bit disappointed because it was the 49ers who were able to outlast the Cowboys. But it all came down to the final play, Coach. I mean, give me your takeaway of the way that Dallas ended up losing this game.
Well, Dallas was sloppy. They had some mistakes, penalties, got back in the game, though. And now you've got a decision to make. 14 seconds left. Are you close enough to throw a Hail Mary? Do you try to get a little bit closer? But I can tell you as a coach, that 14 seconds is very, very tight. Always, when I was on defense, I would tell my guys, if we just make a tackle in bounds, the game is going to be over. Dallas tried to rush it, and the other thing they didn't do that you have to do, you have to hand that ball to the official because he's got to touch it and spot it. You put it down, he's got to go get it. They just didn't handle the situation properly.
Mike, what was your reaction to the Cowboys' execution in this game?
Well, Coach Mike McCarthy said after the game that they practice it every week. I think maybe they need to practice it more often than every week. They need to practice it every day because, like Coach said, when it's time to execute the play, something was missing. Dak Prescott didn't hand it to the official. Dak Prescott didn't go down as quickly as he should have. What's the difference between the 24 and the 30 in a situation like that? You just want to have a reasonable shot at the end zone that isn't a Hail Mary. 30-yard line is good enough, but he got a little greedy, went a little too far, and ultimately, it blew up in their face with 1 second on the clock when the ball. There was actually time on the clock when the ball was snapped. The clock went to 0 before the ball was spiked.
Well, I know that we're all going to focus on the last play of the game, but really there were 14 penalties. Dak Prescott was sacked 5 times. What else stands out to you, Mike, in this matchup against the 49ers? There were definitely some unforced errors.
Well, there absolutely were, and there will be questions about Mike McCarthy's future, especially since offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is starting to generate interest in coaching jobs elsewhere. We saw that again more than a decade ago when Jason Garrett was the offensive coordinator, and Jerry Jones wanted to make sure he would be the long-term coach, and eventually Wade Phillips got nudged out the door. So that talk will definitely happen in the coming days and weeks, as it always seems to do with the Dallas Cowboys. But, I look at the 49ers. They tried to blow this thing. I don't know how Coach, how do they react to this? Because they got a tough game now at Green Bay, and they got to be asking themselves some hard questions about taking a 23-7 game and have it come down to basically the last play.
Yeah, had they lost the game, we would have been asking some serious questions. You're up 16 points. You just stopped them and let yourself open to a fake punt that wasn't even, covered at all. So that gets them going, gets it down to 13. Then you throw an interception to get it going. Then you can kill the game with a quarterback sneak, and you get a penalty for motion. They didn't handle it right either. But San Francisco played well early on. They dominated up front. I thought that was the story of the game. Their defensive line, until Nick Bosa got hurt, they overwhelmed the Cowboys' offensive line. Dak Prescott couldn't get anything going. Bosa got hurt, changed things a little bit, and then San Francisco made the mistakes.
Well, we hope that we'll be able to see Bosa in the divisional round because now they have to go up to Green Bay, take on the Packers, and that's going to be difficult because they haven't lost a single game at home, but it should be a fun one. Let's move on to Philly. They had to travel to Tampa Bay. They faced the reigning Super Bowl champs and Tom Brady. And Mike, it was really just all Brady, all day, all Bucks in our first game of the triple header.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of experience. And Tom Brady had so much of it. Jalen Hurts, his first playoff game. Nick Sirianni, his first playoff game as a head coach. The Buccaneers, been there and done that last year, climbed all the way to the top of the mountain. It was going to take more than just a little wind to level the playing field, and we just saw it. It was methodical, it was persistent, and as a practical matter, it was over at halftime. I actually wondered whether or not the Eagles, down 17, should have flipped to Gardner Minshew as a change of pace, somebody who could come in and throw the ball because they needed to do it. And I know they scored a couple of touchdowns late, but I felt like maybe they should consider throwing that curveball in the second half because it just wasn't working in the first half. And by the time they did wake up, it was far too late.
Yeah, Philadelphia, #1 run team in the league, and Todd Bowles and that defense said, we are not going to let you run. We watched, and there's 8 guys, 9 guys, 10 guys at the line of scrimmage, and Philadelphia did not go up the field. They didn't challenge them early, and that was a mistake.
There were times when you sat back and just laughed. You just looked and said, look at all those guys.
You're not going to run again into that. Challenge them.
Well, what is one thing that stood out that we saw Tampa Bay do very well on the offensive side of the ball early?
Well, I thought Tom Brady found some of those other receivers. He's always going to have Mike Evans. He's going to have Gronk. He's going to have that rhythm with those guys. But Cameron Brate and then some of the backs got involved. And I think that was good for Tampa Bay to see Tyler Johnson making some plays for them. That's what they're going to need as they move forward to get those complementary receivers involved. Especially
considering that they've been dealing with injuries, didn't get to see Leonard Fournette. So we'll see whether or not he can return. And again, they'll be facing either the Rams or the Cardinals. Let's talk about the display that we saw in round 3 of Pats versus Bills. All Josh Allen, 5 touchdown passes. I believe he's still throwing touchdown passes, Mike Florio, but it was an impressive rout of the Patriots.
It was unprecedented, and of all the teams for it to happen to, the team led by one of the great defensive masterminds in the history of sport, 7 touchdowns, 7 drives, no punts, no field goals, no turnovers. It was touchdowns or kneel downs. That's never happened before, regular season or postseason. It happens to the Patriots. They just stepped into a buzzsaw, and it was just one of those nights. And that's what Bill Belichick said over and over again. They just couldn't keep up with them last night, and it was obvious. And I don't know what the plan was, but they never really got much of a chance to execute it. The Bills were on top of them from the get-go, and I really do think it turned when Micah Hyde made that interception that I thought was a touchdown. When the ball was thrown by Mac Jones, I just thought, well, there's a touchdown. It's going to be 7-7. That play Micah Hyde made really, in my mind, pushed the momentum completely in the Bills' favor, and they never looked back.
Yeah, that was a great play, and that kept things going. But I had to look at this game and said, you know, New England is not great against the run, but they've got a tremendous secondary. Bill Belichick is going to have a scheme for the passing game. When I saw the weather report in single-digit degrees, New England has a chance because they're not going to be able to throw the ball. Josh Allen made every throw. Guys were open, getting open. Every receiver stepped up. Dawson Knox, Gabriel Davis. It was just incredible.
Yeah, best passing defense in the regular season. And I think the Bills proved to us, Mike Florio, what a lot of people in the beginning of the season, they were the sexy pick, like they're going to win a Super Bowl. They showed us very impressive play on the field and defensively, too. The stops that they were able to get on that side of the ball.
And that's what they need. You need balance. You need to hit your groove now. You know, they started the season losing at Pittsburgh, and it confused and flummoxed everyone. Then they were very dominant. For 4 straight weeks, they were incredibly dominant. They lost that groove, and it felt like from week 6 up until Saturday night, they were trying to get it back, trying to get it consistently. And they have it for now, but they've been so inconsistent this year. We can't just assume they're going to show up and do it again. But this is the team we expected to see all year from Buffalo.
Well, we also got to see the Bengals dropping out of that 31-year drought of a playoff win. And it took the youngsters in Cincinnati, a huge victory over the Raiders. I know that all of the fans were super excited. And your biggest takeaway from what we saw from the youth movement in Cincinnati, standing up in that moment and being able to overcome?
I think it's just the confidence that Cincinnati is playing with. And those young receivers feel like they can get open. Joe Burrow is playing with great confidence. And they're a little bit better on defense than I expected. You know, you see all the flash and all the plays they can make on offense, but they have some guys who can rush the passer. They hustle. They're a very complete team.
And Mike Florio, I know that you talked to Joe Burrow, so no one probably knows what's going on in that locker room better than you.
Well, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they're too young. They don't know that they're too inexperienced. But, you know, they did let the Raiders hang around. And if that game had gone to overtime, and if the Raiders had won, what a narrative we would have. This here it continues. The Bengals can't win a playoff game, but they toughened up and held the Raiders when they needed to, because it just felt like the better team was allowing the inferior team to stick around for far too long. But now, you know, and they're on house money now. They got nothing to lose. Wherever they go, whoever they play, they've got nothing to lose.
Joe Burrow throws for 244 yards. Jamar Chase, 116 yards receiving. The Kitty Cats, I think that's what Mike Tirico ended up calling them. Now the next thing on their board is making it to the championship game for the first time since 1988 when none of them were born. So we will all be keeping our eyes on that as well. But also something league-wide that we're keeping our eyes on, Florio, is just the coaching carousel in general. A fourth of the jobs are available right now. What are you hearing about some of the vacancies that we have right now in the league?
Well, one of the differences between last year and this year is that the teams are moving more slowly than they were a year ago. And most would say that's good. Take your time. Don't rush into it. Everybody's being very deliberate. There are thorough and expansive searches happening. You've got three teams, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Giants, who have to find a general manager and a head coach. They prefer, as I understand it, each of them to hire the general manager first, but they're doing the searches concurrently. So that builds more time into the process because you want the GM on board before you hire the coach. But it's I think a collection of teams that don't want to be doing this again next year or the year after. So they're willing to spend the time now to get it right, even if it means losing out on a candidate they like. And, Coach, I think that's where the challenge is going to be, to continue to take your time once dominoes start to fall elsewhere, because we've seen that where once one gets filled, they just go one after another. And I hope some of these teams will say, no, we're still going to stick to our plan here, and we're going to do this right.
Mike, you're exactly right, and I hope these owners can slow down, take their time, take a page out of Dan Rooney's book, and just, you know, go through the process slowly, get the right candidate, feel like it's going to be a 15-year decision. I've actually talked to two of my buddies who are still coaching in the playoffs, and they're asking me, I don't know what to do. They're asking me to interview this weekend or Monday, and we're going to be playing, and I'm going to be preparing. I don't know if I can do that. And I told both of them, tell the teams, hey, don't talk to me until we're out of this. I've got too much going on. I owe my team, I owe my players that focus. And I can't do this. This whole system, to me, is messed up. We've got to let these guys do their job, slow it down, and still feel like they've got a chance to get these jobs after they get knocked out of the playoffs.
Well, 8 head coaching vacancies are in existence right now. We'll obviously be keeping our eyes on that and be bringing the updates to you on Football Night in America. We're looking forward as the playoffs continue to push, and we will see you in the divisional round.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.